Okay, welcome along to today's class. Delighted to be back. Actually, I know Cormac filled in for me last week, so great to be back after a couple of days off. This is our Staying Well While Staying Home series, a collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. So I'll be leading us through today's workout, a mix of strength and aerobic work. Things we want to have for this session. I will lead most of the session in a standing position. We can, however, work in a seated position, and we'll have that chair nearby in any case. Also, what I want to do is have a couple of weights at the ready. You can use bottles, tins, and also always works just having yourself a bottle of water at the ready. Maybe having a window open as well, just to let some air in. A couple of things I'd always say at the start is just not to perform any movement that's painful. We all have different requirements and maybe different areas of pain. So if there is a movement that just doesn't feel right or doesn't even look good to you, please do just make that change. Don't put any pressure on yourself to perform something that doesn't feel right. We like to push hard in these sessions, so we should get a good workout. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this one this morning. And just that we feel a challenge. So during this workout, I might get a little bit out of puff, a little bit red, maybe even a light sweat. However, I'd never be completely breathless and unable to talk. And in no way would I be pumping sweat or really uncomfortable. We'll definitely want to feel a challenge during this workout. So just going to make a final couple of adjustments there. Just block a little bit of light from coming in. So we're tipping in just to 10 o'clock. So I think we'll just get straight in. It's probably enough talking from me. And we'll just get ourselves moving and warmed up. So what I want to do is, first of all, nice and light. I just want to start off bringing my shoulders up and down. Just to get a little bit of movement here. Shoulders up and down. Should there be any issues during the video, unfortunately, the odd time a stream might cut out, we will just set up a new link through our YouTube channel, Siel Bleu Ireland. So any issues with the stream, we will just reset with a new link. But hopefully no such problems will happen. Next, I want to start slowly rolling the shoulders back. So we'll just take up a side position just to demonstrate that. Rolling the shoulders back. And then I want to change direction and just start rolling my shoulders forward. So again, just getting any movement at all. Just typically an area that can be a little bit tight and stiff. So just to get some movement here. Next, if I bring hands to my shoulders and just start lifting the two elbows in front, just to about shoulder height, bringing those two elbows up. This is anyway uncomfortable, we might just go with one at a time. Keeping the elbows elevated, I'll just slowly begin opening to the side now. So from front to side, opening the elbows. Again, we might feel our chest opening up a little bit here, and we might feel the shoulders opening up a little bit as well. Just continue to open up and down. Next, what I want to do is bring my hands together at about chest height, and just to start off, lightly pushing straight out from your chest, just pressing directly in front, straight out, just pressing away. Okay, and then if I keep those hands together, but nice and relaxed now, I'll just rotate my body to the right and then rotate to the left. There's not much movement through the hips, so I'm trying to keep them pretty much in a fixed position. And the movement is all through my upper body here. Just slowly going to the right and then over to the left. Just allowing my head to go with the movement, feeling a little stretch through the back here. Always nice just to have some form of rotation in our warm-up. Okay, and just to straighten the arms out, keeping the hands together, just to go slowly around in circles. Again, just switching on, connecting with the shoulders a little bit here. And then just reverse and change direction. And we'll just finish out with some upper body work. Just bringing hands up to about chest height. I want to push straight in front, out from chest, pull back, and then press out to the side. So again, push in front, return, and push out to the side. So again, just opening up. Might feel a little connection around our chest, shoulders, and even just between our shoulders, so our upper back here, we might feel a little connection as well. We're just opening out, we're just moving, warming the body up, loosening everything out, and gradually bringing that heart rate up, ready to work a little bit harder then. Go once more with each, and down. Next, I might just lightly hold on to my chair, and I'll just focus on bringing the knees up. So just switching on my hips now, and lifting the knees right up. Again, at this point, I'm starting to warm up and maybe just kind of find if any areas of my body are a little bit tight and stiff before we start to push a little bit harder with our main blocks of work. And next, I will just lightly extend right leg and then my left leg. So just lightly extend legs out one at a time, as if you were just kicking a ball straight in front. And then again, just return, lifting those knees up. Nice big lift. And then again, just to extend those legs out. Okay. And then from there, I'm just going to take a little step to the right. I should just move away from my chair first, and then a little step to the left. So step to the right, and a little step to the left. So really just, we're staying active, we're moving. Just a small shift of weight in each direction, over to the right, and then over to the left. Just a little step in each direction. Okay, and then from there, I'll just start lightly tapping my heels out in front with the toes of the foot pointed up towards the ceiling. So a little movement down around the ankle. Might feel a little stretch in the back of your leg here. Lightly tap the heel, toes pointed up. And I'll use that chair if I want, just for a little support. And then from there, what I want to do, just showing you from the side, I might hold on to the chair as I lightly tap the toes behind. So now pointing toes down into the floor. Pointing toes down. Again, just stretching the leg back, opening out a little bit from my hips. Pointing toes down to the floor. And return. Okay, so that is our warm-up. In a sense, a continuation of our warm-up into our main aerobic block of work next. And this can be done, performed standing or seated, but I will lead this work in a seated position. I'm just putting my timer on. So we're going to be on the clock for about 10 minutes in total. And really the purpose here is just active and moving all the time here. So we have 3 movements. These can be, I will lead them, as I said, standing, and just very simply to mimic them if you are performing them in a seated position. If you're standing, I would recommend just that you have your chair alongside you here, just to guide you should you feel in any way unbalanced with any of the movements. I'm going to put the clock on, and I'm going to show you the first movements that I performed today. So what I like to do is make these kind of interesting, challenging, and add a little bit of coordination into our aerobic work. Raising your right arm, lifting your left knee. That is our first movement. So how that looks. Right arm out, left knee up. Again, I'll just get a feel for this movement. If I feel in any way unbalanced, I hold on to my chair. If I prefer, perform the same action from a seated position, raising the right arm to the side, lifting the left knee up. After a couple of reps, once we feel strong and balanced, we continue on at a nice moderate pace. The purpose here is just keeping the body active and moving. We have our added challenge here, a little coordination with the movements, right arm, left knee. But staying strong and balanced throughout the movement. That's a couple of seconds. And from the opposite side. So I'll just simply bring my chair across here. I'm not trying not to bring anything down as I do it. And now I want to raise my left arm and right knee. So left arm to my side, right knee directly up. Again, if I felt wobbly, unbalanced, I would just immediately hold on to the chair just to guide me along. And if you prefer, from a seated position, you're performing the same motion. Left arm out, right knee up. So again, there is that element, balance, coordination, but within the context of just keeping the body active and moving. Imagine if we were out for a brisk walk. So we're active, moving, working the heart, working the lungs, giving ourselves a challenge here. But not so much that I'm completely breathless and unable to talk. Okay, third, final movement, and then we'll repeat them all. Very simply, elbows by my side. I want to curl hands to shoulders and just lightly curl one leg back at a time. So bum kicks and arm curl. Again, if you find this movement, there's too much maybe or a little bit awkward, you could again just take one part out so I could just work through the legs and hold on to the chair for a little support if I want. If you're in a seated position, again, just to curl the arms and lightly pull one leg back at a time from the seated position. Again, I'm just staying active, I'm moving. Start maybe light, just get a feel for the movements in this first round. We will repeat them for a second and third round, by which point you can have a better sense of how hard you can push. Do you need to go a little bit slower, or can you go maybe with a little bit more intensity? Okay, so there are your three movements. We go back to the start and repeat the same three actions again. So right arm, left knee to begin. So right arm, left knee. Always just start cautiously with the first couple of raises, and then we'll continue at a nice moderate pace. Again, at a pace that's giving me a challenge, where I feel I'm active, I'm working, maybe a little bit out of puff as I talk, but no way, as I say, completely breathless. Holding that chair if I need for support, and just mimicking the same motion from a seated position. Raising the arm, lifting the knee. Finding it really tough, slow it down. Finding it easy, we might just go with a little bit more intensity. Everyone is different, just building up as feels right for you. And switch. So again, I'll just move my chair across, just that I have it there should I need it. Left arm, right knee, and I'll begin. So now it's just raising the left arm out, lifting my right knee. So a nice challenge, working through my hip and working through my shoulder. Chair is here to guide me if I need. And following that same movement pattern in a seated position, raising the arm out, lifting the knee up. And again, it's at an intensity where I'm feeling a challenge. I feel I'm active and working, but I'm not in any way really uncomfortable or in any kind of pain with any movement. But definitely hoping for a good challenge with this workout. Last couple of seconds. And down. Okay, third movement. Again, arm curl and those light kicks behind. So again, my elbows by my side, curling hands to shoulders, and just lightly kicking heel behind, heel towards bum. Again, maybe just start slow. Once that feels okay, I can then continue at a nice moderate intensity. Say if it just felt a little bit awkward, the movement, and weren't quite happy with it, might just bring it back just to working the legs and lightly holding onto your chair as well. Seated position, curling the arms, and just pulling leg back one at a time. So we're just approaching the end of the second round. We will have 1/3 final round of the same 3 actions or movements. Again, if it's quite easy, we might just bring the intensity up a little bit. If it's quite hard, we might just slow it down a bit and take a break as required. So, chair to my side, 1/3 final time, right arm, left knee, and I'll begin. Again, it's very important that I'm strong and balanced. If I just feel that I'm losing shape here, I'm just going to hold on to that chair, and that'll make a big difference in performing the action if we do feel a little unbalanced. Raising the right arm, lifting the left knee. Seated position, you're just following that same action. Again, not so fast that we're going to run out of steam here, but not so light that we're not feeling our body active and working either. So we want to feel a challenge and that we are working. And switch. So again, always works, even though I might not need it. I will always just place the chair there in case I needed it or was losing a little bit of balance as I go. Left arm, right knee. Again, raise the left arm to your side and bring the right knee up. Tailor the ranges so there's no pressure, and certainly not raising any higher than shoulder level with the arm. And just again, raising to a height that's comfortable with the knee, not forcing it so high that we're losing shape in that upper body. And the key is you feel strong and balanced as you perform this movement pattern. Last couple of seconds here. Maybe a little bit tougher on the third and final round. And down. Third, final action. Elbows by my side, and I'm going to begin. Curling hands to shoulders and just lightly kicking heel back, one at a time. So just alternate with the legs and just lightly curl hands towards shoulders. Nice active movement. And that really is the key here. We're just active, we're moving. To a point where we feel we're moving and giving our body a good challenge. Again, if you want to take the upper body out, we can just hold on to the chair and perform the lower limb action. That's no problem. And from seated, curling the arms. And again, just lightly pulling one leg back at a time. Last couple of seconds here. And down. Perfect. So that's our aerobic block of work finished. Take a breather, just take a rest. If you need to sit down or just catch your breath briefly. And maybe just to take a sip of water. So we will move next into our weighted work. We have a mix of body weight and weighted movement. So having our dumbbells at the ready. I'm going to set up our timer. We have 5 movements. We're going to work a squat variation. We are going to work our calf, so the back lower legs. We're going to work our arms and also working the hips and shoulders with our weighted carry. So let's set this up and moving in. So we've been gradually building up the time on the clock the last couple of weeks, just making things gradually a little bit harder as we go each week. If you find at any point you're a little bit breathless, the movement is painful, of course, just pause the movement. Don't persist with something that is painful. I will offer a seated adaptation for every exercise we show. So, and even within that, make any changes that you need. So, first movement that I want to show today is a split stance squat. So I just want to lower the camera ever so slightly. Foot position is important here. So what I want to do is my feet hip width apart, but I place my left foot in front. So my left foot is forward. Just going to pause that clock. And again, Apologies to have to again, but I just want to make sure you can see the foot position here. That's much better now. So, sitting in my chair, left foot is in front. So I imagine the heel of my left foot is roughly in line with the toes of the right foot. From there, I fold my arms across chest, raise the elbows up. I will then stand up nice and tall and then sit back down. So the idea is I might feel a little bit of work, extra work through the back leg, and in a sense I take the front leg out, but I might feel it as I stand up, a little bit of weight shifting forward, and that's okay. But I might feel the majority of the work on that back leg. If this doesn't feel comfortable or natural, bring your 2 feet back and we will just go for a regular sit to stand. So you don't need to adjust the feet if it just feels a little bit awkward or uncomfortable. Finally, in a seated position, we can work with a leg extension. Extend the leg out, 1, 2, pause. Extend out, 1, 2, pause. Okay, so I'm going to start that movement again. So set back on the clock. So, sitting in my chair, left foot is in front. Feet are still hip width apart. Thinking the heel of my left foot is roughly in line with the toes of my right foot. Arms folded, elbows raised. And 3, 2, 1, I'll begin. I stand up nice and tall. And then I'll sit fully back to the chair. And we want to sit down for this one just to reset the position. Again, I'm feeling a lot of work through my back leg here. And I might feel a little shift of weight forward as I stand. That's okay. But I'm going to think of this back leg, my heel pushing into the ground. Standing up nice and upright. Making sure I don't excessively lean here. We might have a little bit of a lean to initiate, that's okay, but we don't want to round that back ever. We're keeping the chest out, making the legs do the work. And back down. So we'll just continue on. Again, you might feel that little bit of extra work through the back right leg. My left leg is still there as a support tool. It's still helping me to stay nice and balanced. And my upper body stays nice and straight. So I'm not rounding my back. I'm pressing my heel into the floor and standing up. Now, second part of the movement. So what I want to do is now bring the feet back and put my right foot forward. So I'm giving each leg a chance to lead the movement in a sense. So that's what we mean by our split stance. Again, right foot is in front, heel roughly in line with toes of the back left foot. Chest out, arms folded, elbows up. And I'll begin standing up and then back down to my chair. Adjust as you go. So I just needed to adjust my stance a little bit there. And just make sure you feel comfortable, strong and balanced as ever as we perform any movement. If you don't like this variation of one foot in front of the other, continue with a regular stance, sit to stand. So just having your 2 feet beside each other instead of one in front. And in a seated position, we work through our leg extensions, 2 rounds. So we'll get a good work, or a good hit on the legs there. Now I'm feeling the majority of the work through that left leg as I stand, back leg. But my right leg is still there as a support tool as well. And nice and strong as I stand up, pushing my heel into the floor. Any points you need, slow the pace down. And just take a longer pause as you sit, if required. Always returning to that seated position. And down. Okay, first 2 rounds finished. A lot of good work on the legs there. What do we have next? Another leg movement, but of a different kind. A couple of ways to do this. Want to take your 2 weights. Okay. I'm going to hold my 2 weights by my side. And the idea is to lift my heels up off the floor. If this feels in any way unbalanced, I want you to drop the weights and hold on to the back of your chair and perform that same action, heels up. But I will continue to lead with my 2 weights. If you're in a seated position, again, let's bring our feet back a little bit and lift our heels up in the same way, but from a seated position. I'm going to show you this from the side now, just how I'm keeping a nice straight position. I'm always saying not to allow my hips to rock forward and back. I just want to think of up, return to floor. So heels up, return to floor. Looking to feel the back of my lower legs here. So heels up. And again, if it just feels in any way unbalanced, drop the weight, hold the back of your chair. Just adding a little extra weight and challenge with this weighted variation. Of course, in the seated position, just performing the same action, lifting our heels up. And down, perfect. So next we move into our arm curl. So continuing to hold the weight, these last 3 movements, they all contain our 2 dumbbells or tins or bottles. Elbows by my side, palms of the hands are faced forward, and we'll go for a regular arm curl today. So standing or seated, the instruction is the same. Curl the weights up to your shoulders, controlled, back down. Curl up towards shoulders, slowly lower back down. A couple of points, and I'll just show from different angles. When in standing, just always taking that little bit of attention that your back is in a straight position, that at no point are we arching to lift those weights. So making the arms do the work and taking the load of the movement. A nice straight line up to my shoulders. Slowly lower back down, fully stretching back down. So just putting all that work through my arms. And little adaptations, if you are feeling this one a little bit tough, just drop to one arm at a time and alternate. Typically the arms can take a little bit more, so we'll give them a good challenge here. Just curling up the shoulders, slowly lowering back down. I like to exhale as I curl up. And just inhale as I lower the weights down. And one more. Okay, continuing to hold your 2 weights. Again, standing and seated, the execution of this movement is the same. We just want to march whilst holding our 2 weights. So holding my 2 weights, keeping my upper body nice and straight, beginning the action in 3, 2, 1. I'll just lift my right knee and then my left knee. Just start off cautiously, make sure you feel comfortable, and then we can continue at a nice moderate intensity. Keeping my upper body straight, that I'm not bending into the movement, so it stays nice and straight. Lifting my knees up to a height that is comfortable, and continuing to bear the weight through each arm and shoulder here. Seated position, same action, lifting those knees up and continuing to hold your weight. Maybe if it just feels after the last couple of movements, the arms, shoulders feel a little bit heavy, you might like to just drop the weights and continue to lift those knees up. That's no problem. Make these little adjustments. Make movements work best for you. Last couple of seconds here. And down. Okay, we'll drop the weights and take a rest. So that is your first round of the circuit complete. So again, maybe just to sit down, catch your breath, and we'll take a drink of water as well. So I always say after you've completed one round of a circuit, just kind of check in with yourself. Were you happy with every movement? Was there anything there you didn't like? For example, if something was just kind of irritating a part of your body, it just felt a bit sore, not to persist. It might be a case of taking weight out. For example, that last movement, maybe you need to just take the weight away. or to perform any of the seated adaptations instead of standing. If everything felt okay, we'll go again. Again, you can hear as I talk, maybe a light kind of pant as I talk, maybe a light sweat, a little bit red, that's okay, but not completely breathless, that you're unable to get sentences out and you're not experiencing any pain or kind of soreness with any of the movements. So we'll go back to the start. I might show you this time from the side with our split stand squat or sit to stand. Just moving the camera just ever so slightly up. So again, remember, if you don't like this version, you can go with a regular stance, sit to stand, or a seated leg extension is also there as an option. So let's put the clock on and let's begin. So first action I want to do is place my left foot in front. So my feet hip width apart, but left foot is forward. Heel of my left foot roughly in line with toes of the right foot. Arms across chest, elbows up. So I'll stand up nice and tall and then sit back to my chair. So my left leg is in front of my right leg. So there's more work through this back right leg. It's not too dramatic. If I just look across there, you can see it doesn't look too dramatic. It's just that one foot is slightly in front of the other. I might just feel a little bit more work through the back leg. Again, I'm conscious that I'm trying to stay nice and upright, putting the work and the load through my legs. And that I don't want to lean too much on this one. I don't want to put lots of lean into the movement. I want to press my heel into the floor and generate power up through my leg. But that left leg, which is in front, is still helping. It's not like it's completely gone from the movement. It's still helping, but just that we might feel majority of the work through that back leg. Last couple of reps. And one more. And back down. Okay. Take a couple of seconds, reset. I walk my left foot back and now my right foot in front. So the heel of my right foot is roughly in line with the toes of my left foot. Again, chest out, arms across chest, elbows raised. And if you don't like this stance, 2 feet beside each other, a regular sit to stand stance. Let's begin. Again, pressing up through my heel and then going back to seat. And I always want to return back to the chair. We don't want this as a squat. We intentionally go for that seated position, just briefly taking that pressure and tension off the legs. And if you're finding this really tough, you might spend a little bit longer as you sit down. That's okay. But always thinking, pressing that heel into the floor, really working that leg. Arms folded or across your chest and the elbows raised. Again, I'm avoiding leaning that body excessively. There might be a little bit, it's okay, but as much as I can, putting tension up through my leg, generating power, not having to lean excessively to achieve this standing position. Making changes as required, bringing your feet to a regular stance or those seated leg extensions if this is uncomfortable. And down. Okay. Next movement, we move into our weights. Take your drink of water between. There's always rest on the clock, so there's no hurry to set up. And you might find, certainly I felt that second round of those squats was a little bit tougher. And you might notice that second round of movements might be a little bit tougher. So holding your 2 weights, feet, toes are pointed ahead, and I lift my heels up. And feet are hip width apart. Remembering, if we don't like this variation, drop the weight, hold on to the back of your chair. And there is always that seated option available of lifting heels up from a seated position. Just showing from the side. Keeping the position nice and straight. Heels raise up off floor, heels return to floor. Nice, purposeful raise each time. Trying to avoid using momentum that we don't bounce up down. There's a nice, purposeful lifting up of the heels. Feeling lots of work through the back of the lower legs. Last couple of seconds here. And rest. Okay, so again, you can hold on to the weights. We'll be performing an arm curl next. Or just rest the weights down if you need to just catch your breath and take a drink of water. I'm just going to lightly walk it out. And we'll just call this active recovery, just where I lightly move. I'm not in any kind of strenuous way, just very lightly, barely lifting the feet off the floor here. And then I'll set up. Okay, elbows in, palms of my hands face forward. I'm curling up and then lowering back down. So a nice straight line. What can happen a lot of the time as well here is that we start to cave in with the weights. Let's keep the angle nice and straight and keep as much work as we can on those arms. So I'll keep that angle nice and straight. Conscious that I'm not drifting in with the weight. And my upper body stays nice and straight. You can think about exhale as we lift the weights up. That's where we generate the power. Inhale as we lower. Just that nice, smooth, straight line up and down. Last couple of reps here. And we'll get one more. And down again. You can drop those weights if you need, but otherwise, let's just hold on to them. And we still have that time on the clock, so take a drink of water if you need. Final movement again is our weighted march. So just to march on the spot, holding your two weights. If this feels in any way unbalanced, you can perform it in a seated position or just to drop the weight. So let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Right knee up, left knee up. Just ease your way in, not to take off really fast here. Just kind of settle into the position. Now I feel strong and balanced. I'm okay in this position. Now I can continue a nice moderate intensity, keeping the body straight. Getting a nice big lift of the knee, but only as high as comfortable on each side. And continuing to hold that weight through each side. And make those changes as you need. Drop the weight if you need. Perform in a seated position if you prefer. Last couple of seconds here. And rest down. So I'll drop the weight down. Catch our breath again. Really good work. So let's take a drink of water here. And maybe just need to sit down to the chair. Just take a couple of deep breaths as well if we need. Okay, so we will perform 1/3 final round. I do always repeat that message that everyone is building up. So if you found after 1-2 rounds you've done a lot of work and pushed yourself enough, that's absolutely fine. You might like to break the workout. It'll be available on YouTube afterwards. You might like to break it up across the day or any way at all you like. Maybe aerobic block one day, the strength block another day. So don't be afraid to make any kind of adaptations like that. take from the workout what you want. So, third final round. Just bear in mind, maybe everything felt okay. Maybe the third round you'll just start to feel a little bit more tired. Some of the limbs will feel a little bit heavier with some of the movements. So it might be a case of dropping the weights from a movement, just making those little changes in the third final round. But let's begin again with our split stance, sit to stand. I'm going to put the clock on again. Remember, we have our leg extensions, should we need. We have our regular stance with feet beside each other, sit to stand if we want. What I will do is push my left foot in front, so the heel roughly in line with toes of right foot, but they're still hip width apart. Arms folded, elbows up, and I'll stand. And then sitting back to my chair. So again, I'm thinking about, particularly on this back right leg, of pushing my heel into the floor and generating power up through that leg here as I stand. As much as I can, avoiding excessively leaning forward. So trying to generate power through the leg in a nice upright position. We'll always return and sit to the chair with this movement. And we don't want to do this as a squat. We want to fully sit back into that chair every time. Just always kind of cautious with the pace of a movement like a sit to stand or a squat, in that we don't need to rush. So take a longer pause at the bottom if you need, and you find this is becoming very tough movement. Last couple of reps. And back down. Reset. Changing up the position again if you want, keeping those 2 feet in line with each other if you find this version very difficult. Right foot is in front, my heel roughly in line with the toes of the left foot. So now left leg I'll feel a lot more work through. Arms folded, elbows up, chest out. And in 3, 2, 1, we begin. Again, I'll stand up and then return fully back to the chair. And just adjust. Sometimes you might find you need to reset the position a little bit if it just didn't feel right as you sat down. And that feels better now. Again, lots of work through that left leg, pressing my heel into the floor as I stand up. Just a different variation of a regular squat or sit to stand. With this version, we'll always return our bum back to the seat, just to reset the position. Slow the pace down a little bit if you need. Become a tiring action. It's a powerful, demanding movement. Body will be working hard with this one. Final couple of repetitions here. Breathing throughout, never holding that breath during any exercise. I'll get one last time. And back down. Okay. Excellent work. Not easy. Different variation, and particularly when we work each side as we did there. So, third movement. And now we take hold of our weights, our tins, our bottles, whatever we're using. First, we will go with our heel raises. So, toes are straight, feet hip width apart, and I begin lifting my heels up. So, heels straight up off the floor. From the sides, again, just ensuring my body stays nice and straight as I lift those heels up. Small changes at this point, getting rid of the weights and just holding on to the back of the chair if we need to guide us, making those changes as you need. You see, variation is always there, just sitting down and bringing those heels up. Again, a nice, purposeful lifting up of the heels every time. Keeping the body straight, not allowing my hips to rock my body forward and back. So always just check in that you feel you're in a nice, straight, upright position as you bring those heels up. And down, okay? 2 final movements again. I'll just continue to hold the weights, but drop them if you need. Take a drink of water. And I'm just going to lightly just tap the feet out on the spot here. So barely lifting the feet, just lightly, a little bit of active recovery, just lightly moving on the spot. And then we'll move in arm curl, okay? So elbows just roughly by my sides here. Palms of the hands are forward, grasping the waist. You curl up and lower straight back down. So a nice straight line up and back down. Exhale as I bring the weights up. Inhale as I lower. If you were running out of a little bit of steam, might just drop it to one arm at a time, and that's no problem. Conscious now in the third round where maybe we are getting a little bit more tired. Just again that we're keeping a nice strong position. We're not arching that back or letting any other part of our body help with this movement. Just making the arms do the work as we curl the weights up. Last couple of seconds here, last couple of repetitions. And back down, okay? Final movement will be our weighted march. So lifting those knees up. Again, I'm going to continue to hold my weight. But again, maybe if you're just, again, running out of that little bit of power at the end, just to take the weight out of the movement, or your seated variation is there too. So set up, holding my weights, strong upper body, and I'll begin. Right knee, left knee up. So again, I'll just start cautious on the first couple of lifts, and now I feel strong and steady with the position. Now I can continue, nice moderate intensity and a nice lift of the knee each time. Bringing that knee up as high as is comfortable to you. Continuing to bear the weight on each side. Just conscious that I'm never bending into this position. So let's keep that upper body straight. Our final exercise for today. Okay, just over 10 seconds left on the clock. Finishing strong. And rest. So we'll drop our 2 weights down. All that's left for us now is just to begin the process of cooling down. So we think at this point our heart rate is up, kind of very much energized. We've been working very hard, so it's important we spend a little bit of time now just to relax the body. But first, just maybe take a drink of water and even just rest lightly on the back of your chair and just take some of that pressure off the body, or even just to sit fully into your chair. Okay, so we'll begin that process now of cooling down. Really good work. As I always say, don't be afraid just to let me know if that was kind of found that was the right level of intensity, if there was enough variation, or maybe if you need more adaptations with the exercise, if it was maybe too hard or quite easy. Don't be afraid to let me know as ever in terms of feedback. But a lot of work covered there. Aerobic, where we were just moving at the start, and then our strength work, like our sit to stands, our arm curl, our weighted carry, a lot of different work in there. Now we'll begin cooling down with a couple of stretches, kind of active moving stretches. So hands up at about chest height. I want to press forward, so I'll straighten the arms out, and then I'll pull back, hands into my shoulders. And should you wish to perform these seated, that's okay. And we might finish off in a seated position with some of them in any case. So again, I'll stretch the arms forward, hold, pull back and hold. So a little stretch through the back is pressing forward, and then pull back. Maybe a nice little squeeze between our shoulder blades here. Press forward and hold, and pull back. Pull back, and we'll go one more time. Just pressing forward, and then pull back. And down. Next, rotation. I want to bring those hands together. Keeping, just think about moving through your upper body here. So I'll turn my body to the right. I'm going to separate from the action of my hips. Stay for a couple of seconds, and then over to the left. So feeling a nice stretch through my back. And just lightly turn and a pause in each position. So again, just all these movements now. It's just slowly phasing the work down, gradually bringing that heart rate back to a resting state. So feeling relaxed, but hopefully as well really good after all that hard work. Let's go once more in each direction. Okay. Nice way to stretch out the chest. And what I want to do is, just if you are seated, do sit forward in your chair. Hands on the back of my lower back. And I lightly tuck the elbows in, and you'll see how that chest just expands or opens up. If I just show you from the different angles how that looks, I gently bring the elbows in. We won't be able to go too far, but just gently bring them in. I'll then relax the tension, and then bring elbows in together, opening out that chest again. And again, I'll just relax those elbows, keeping hands on my lower back. Again, just tuck the elbows in, open out that chest, and let's hold that stretch. Okay, that's brilliant, Mary. Thanks very much, and great work as ever. Working very hard over the week, so thanks for that. Always nice just to get a sense of if the workout is okay, kind of hard enough, giving us a challenge, but equally that there is variations there if we need. And back down. Okay, we'll just finish out in a seated position. A couple of stretches here. We'll stretch out our hamstring, back of the leg. And seated is a nice way to do this one. So I'll sit forward a little bit in my chair, and I straighten my right leg out. So I'm on my heel. I'm going to rest the hands on the spare left leg here. Upper body is straight, and I'll just gently tilt forward, looking to feel a little bit of a stretch through the back of the leg. I shouldn't need to push too far forward, and if I did go forward very fast, it might feel a little bit sharp and uncomfortable. So I gently tilt my body forward. And then return. Now my left leg is out on my heel. Straight body, hands resting down. And just gently lean forward. Again, looking to feel a little stretch through the back of that left leg. And return. Again, I'll straighten my right leg. I'm on my heel. Gently lean forwards. And I don't need to go very far. And I feel that nice stretch through the back of my leg. And down. Again, I'm going to straighten that left leg. I'm on my heel. Hands rest on the leg. And just gently lean forward again. And back in. Okay. Really nice way to stretch the hamstring, as I say, just not to go excessively fast or force the body too far. Generally, a very small little tilt should be sufficient to feel that one. Just while we are in the seated position, I'll go back right into my chair and straighten my right leg out, just pointing the toes forward and then pulling the toes back towards myself. Toes forward, pull back, and once more, forward, pull back. So getting a nice stretch through that calf. We did work that calf with our heel raises. And down. Finally, in my left leg, and I can see heart rate is coming right back to a resting level now. Toes pointed forward, and then pull back, forward, pull back, and once more, forward, and pull back, and down. And finally, just always think nice, just take a couple of breaths at the end, just to ensure you're fully relaxed after that. So big deep breath, just resting hands on my legs, inhale, big inhale, and double that time of your exhale. So a nice slow release. And again, inhale, nice slow exhale. And again, one more time. Inhale through nose. Nice slow exhale. Okay, so that concludes our workout today. Thanks so much for tuning in. If there's ever any questions, issues, do just let us know. In terms of finding workouts hard, easy, need more adaptations or anything at all, do just let us know. But we did a lot of work there, as I said, all that aerobic work, a lot of strength work, so a lot of things covered there. So have a nice rest after that, and we'll talk to you again. So great work, everyone. And that's a collaboration between ourselves, Siel, Bleu Ireland, and the Irish Cancer Society. So thanks so much for tuning in.